Oh, sorry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to, I believe, part three of today. We're really rocking these out. So, I just got done doing some jam boards. I mean, they're still uploading, and of course, by the time most of you watch these, it'll be, well, I'll have already done the actual videos for Code Wars and whatnot. So, and actually, that's what I want to get into in this one. But first off, I did do the Jamboard for my work history for high school, college, and then post college. I'm working on my educational history because that is important too, to note that Buena Vista did have a lot of really great electives. I did computers class. I was doing C++ programming in high school. And this is before I graduated in 2006. So this is like right at the turn of the century. I was like, yeah, 2002 to 2006. Like we just survived Y2K. So then that's another thing for frame of reference. My generation, we were afraid of the whole world being destroyed, like planes crashing, like trains crashing, nuclear power plants blowing up, like, whatever the case may be. We had no idea. Anything that was tied to a computer, which was, even back then, was quite a lot of stuff. Like, as soon as we got it from being the size of a whole room, like, because computers used to take up an entire room, and then, and never mind trying to save any data, and I say it data. I know some people say data. I say database. That's a common joke about in the tech community, and honestly, I think it is data and the data, but whatever, like, that's just one thing, but one thing out of many. So, anyways, it's important to know, like, as you use my tutorials and stuff, and try to learn from these things that I do, like, understand where I came from, like, what helped me get to where I am today. So, and you can do similar things. Like, I put down Spanish class because I did 4 years of that. I really loved it. Learning to speak another language was really fun. And we were basically like kids again. It was like going back to elementary school, learning, and so it was kind of childish like that. And yeah. And I got to go on a trip to Costa Rica and see paradise and experience another culture, speak to them. And they even played practical jokes on me. I remember my host uncle, he brought out a picture of a jaguar, and he's like, first he said, "You want to see my jaguar?" And I'm like, what the, like, because he was trying to speak some English, and like he had a very heavy accent. He's like, "You want to see my jaguar?" And I was like, okay, and like thinking I'm about to, like, Steve Irwin some, like, Animal Planet and see an actual jaguar, and he brings out a picture. It was a very lovely picture, and I think he painted it. And so that was like the thing is like, and honestly, I don't remember, so that's kind of like, I feel I'm embarrassed because I failed to write back my host family, and if they're listening, if they ever hear this, I'm sorry. If I ever get super famous, that could be like a gimmick. Like, I'm gonna write a letter to my host family. I really would. Like, I mean, so it's a tangle of spaghetti of chords to do that, though. Because in order to do that, I'd have to reach out to my old Spanish teacher, and depending on who you talk to in Buena Vista and the whole community, and I don't know. I don't know what her opinion is of me, good or bad, and that's why it's also important to know the context of that, like the checkered past. I mean, I'm still going to be a little guarded of a few things, but like it is just important to know that. Oh, well, an interesting side note, I got the highest grade in geology class because I was also putting down my educational history, and the number two guy was an old Grateful Dead hippie that does audiovisual for like the public school system. He's a great guy, like, very wise, very understanding, very patient, doing basically tech IT for public school. So, with a fixed limited budget, limited resources for training, like, and that's another thing to note, like, and when you get into a tech career, you will have to continually train and learn new technologies, but you also need to be able to maintain your current work, and like it's like maintenance, like any system, and that's how I treat like IT systems. I try to do preventative maintenance up front, especially with people training. Like I try to make it as manageable as possible because let's be honest, any tech person can talk for, well, hours. Yeah, I could check my watch and refer to season one of the Musings, like, and just like I'm doing today, I'm launching out like part three, part four, all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm getting a lot of progress done. So like, this is the stuff that I've been wanting to do and make into concise pieces. Like, here's a work history, here's a path that you can follow, deviate as you will. And then here's the classes I took in Colorado Mountain College, because that's important. Buena Vista High School enforced a senior English program in the community college. So even if you didn't want to go to college after high school, you still had to take a college class at the community college. It was awesome. And I saw something like Biden wanted to do First 2 years of free community college, and I don't know if it passed. And mind you, I did take some government and political classes on top of what I learned in high school. And I still don't honestly know how all that works. I know how it's supposed to work, but I keep hearing like, oh yeah, student debt's going to be forgiven. Then like some judge held it up and ruled, and now they overturned it. And now they're talking about retroactively charging all of this interest that we've been pausing on, which is ridiculous. Like that is such a hardship thing. And I know that people are like, oh yeah, pay your loans, pay your debts, like don't sign up for it. It's like, okay, well yeah, easier said than done. Like I already worked like as much as I could to save for college, had to take a break from college, work more, save up even more, and still get this debt. And you're like, oh, it's that false sense of other people aren't doing a hard or a good job or aren't working hard. And it's you could say that about both quote unquote sides, the haves and the have-nots as far as higher education. It's very easy to see. Well, oh, you've got $100,000 debt, but you've got like a house and a car for your family, or oh, you've got $100,000 educational debt, but you're renting an apartment and your car is breaking down. Like it's just these things. It's like okay, well, that's blatantly obvious when you put them side by side together like that. And like I said, I've had to have many roommates, several roommates, formed a lot of really good friendships that way. And actually, I'm hoping to go visit one of my roommates again when I fly around the world. So, which is really awesome. And I have that experience because I was able to, well, take the gamble of doing higher education with Colorado State University. And please know that my opinions are not those of the university, and they're not those of the place I currently work for, whose name I shall not mention right now. You're gonna have to do that, OSINT, if you're gonna want that. But like, just because I'm protective, and like, but just know that and even those Jamboards that I make, like, I did use real names for like my job history, but omitting my current one. And even that, like, just know that anything I say is like, I mean, I should sign a legal disclaimer that, like, if any time any of the stuff on these videos is deemed something that you don't want being said, let me know and I'll edit it. You can email my email there on the YouTube. Seriously, like names, places, that stuff is important, and you need to be careful because I know at least in the correctional Department of Corrections, you can't take cameras. And, like that's the real reason you can't have cell phones in there. That and also because, well, no, sorry, that's just one of the reasons you're not supposed to have cell phones in jail or prison is because like you could take photographic evidence of someone that could mess with the case or I don't know or like and cause more cases. I'm less likely to believe that though because they really do straight up spy on people in like county jails and they like will catch you for other crimes and that's why I'm like I mean sorry I will state for the record, I do not break the law. I haven't broken the law for a long time. Even if I did, yeah. So we'll just leave that as that. And yeah, I'm a law-abiding citizen. There you go. And that's how we should all really be saying it. Like even if you got in trouble, because I'm also thinking like even when like on the last video I was talking like, wait, should I be able to even say that? Because like, could I get in trouble for that? And I was specifically talking about cannabis or marijuana because smoking it back in the day was illegal. And I said, oh yeah, I used to smoke in high school. Like, and it's like, okay, wait, did I just incriminate myself? And you need to be careful about that. Because if you're doing illegal drugs, then yes, absolutely, you should not be bragging about or talking about that on the air or online or anything. So, but it's also we've demonized the use of cannabis still, even though it is legal in many states. Almost all of them. I want to say it's at least like 38 for medicinal, or maybe that's even recreational, and it's almost all of them for medicinal. I don't even know, but and it keeps changing. That's why I like stopped paying attention to it mostly. But I am excited for it because that just means that if nothing else, even if you never try it in your life, and that's totally fine. I mean, everybody's okay with that. We're reducing the friction of persecuting other people for wanting to smoke it or wanting to ingest it because you don't even have to smoke it anymore. You can eat it, like I don't know. And personally, my experience is it is a much safer and healthy alternative to alcohol, and that's a win in my book. And even though I worked for like an alcohol software company, and I supported all that, and I still do for like yes, if that's your business, your livelihood, then by all means. And people deserve the choice to what to recreate with. I'm all for less government in that sense is less persecution. Anything that can put someone in jail, basically, I'm against because, well, yeah, like same with murder, violent crimes, and all that. We need to stop them. but we can do it in a multitude of ways. Like this is, I'll say this many times. These tactics, these cybersecurity tactics that I discuss, they're meant to be used in conjunction with existing systems. Now we can relieve the stress and friction of existing systems by reducing sentences. Buena Vista had a boot camp program for nonviolent offenders where you could go through an actual military style boot camp, get yelled at, get harassed, get abused, get trained, like basically get military training. And so it doesn't matter. You want to go serve in the military, or hey, by the way, we're going to do it anyway if you got caught with drugs or if you stole something or I don't know, anything nonviolent. I want to say even sex crimes are in that, but we know my opinion of that. But again, if you don't want something to happen, how do you go about it? Well, you can do the preventative maintenance way where you try to prevent it from happening before the fact. You have to do the reactive maintenance way or conflict resolution way or, you know, way of doing it. So like, yeah, in higher education, you do have like conflict resolution. You have systems in place for punishment and reparation or reprimands for breaking the rules. As it should be. I mean, we need to have a good system like that. And that's why, I kind of talk about the whole surveillance aspect. Like, if you didn't believe in God or a higher power before, you definitely should now because, and not saying that like law enforcement is God, but they have the same capability as what we were originally afraid of with religion. And yes, it is fear. It's almost like borderline terrorism. It's like you either go to heaven or hell based on your actions, so you better act right. And I don't know. Like I really honestly think like if they could have just said like hell for like 5 years or something, or it was just like it is such a scary thing. Like forever. Like we can't even imagine we've been alive for 10, 20, 30 years, and you're trying to tell me an eternity of. Sorry, that's my biggest like protest of Christianity, or at least Catholicism. I think a lot of flavors of Christianity kind of acknowledge now. It's like, okay, it's not that bad. You probably get like the scales. I've seen some movies. It was like a superhero movie, but it was like they had the balance of your life, or maybe it was the mummy or something. But anyways, it was someone that was in an afterlife, and I think it was an Egyptian afterlife, and they were weighing the scales of your actions, and they decided your fate. And I think it was like a time sensitive thing. Like it wasn't an eternity. It was like you did this much time in the nether region, and then you earned your way to come to the light or whatever. So just giving a light at the end of the tunnel is very important because, and yeah, let's talk about that. Cybersecurity and blue teaming. If you're in a self-defeatist mindset because it doesn't matter, you're already ascribed to, oh, I'm going to hell or oh, I'm going to heaven, then what's the point in trying? So like, because we all try, because we know that it's not okay to like steal from people, hurt people, like things that are very obvious. But then even when situations get desperate, we're still a lot less likely to do those things if we have better moral structures in place. Now, if we have an absence of moral structure, say a parent that isn't in the home, a parent that's in prison, a parent that's dead, like, any of these things, and then because like not everybody remarries or gets a Sancho or and all that, and how do you be a Sancho? So like, and that's something that, sorry for those that don't know, a Sancho is a usually it's a guy, but I mean it goes both ways now, which is awesome. Now equality and stuff, which, well, anyways, it's someone that's a stand-in relationship partner while your partner is in jail or prison. So, and it's really hard, but now we've been coming up with this whole ENM or ethical non-monogamy, which, yeah, sounds perverted at first. It sounds like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people think it's like, of course, that's an assumption. I don't really know because I have been seeing it more and more, like people, like men and women saying it, like, oh yeah, because back in my day, it was just known as swingers, and like it was like a British thing, and that's why I find it funny because now it's like, oh, it's a common thing. And anyways, I digress. But the point of that is it is valuable because that reduces the friction of potential crimes. I mean, crimes of passion. You find your lover, your partner, your spouse. That's the other thing too. Your companion or your partner. People are like using that to describe people, so it doesn't put the pressures of marriage and the financial hardship that goes with that societal norm. Sorry, that's just a fun aside. Yeah, and it's these life or death sentences, like till death do you part. Oh, okay, but what if he hits me? Like, or what if she hits me? Like, Ooh, and there you go. Without going into too much information, I do have some experience with some domestic violence, both observed and witnessed. So, mm, never done though. I've never hit a woman. The closest I ever did is I threw that beautiful Jewish woman on the bed and closed the door, and then she freaked out and slammed on the door and she was like going nuts, and I held it until she calmed down because I didn't want her to hurt herself or me. So. I don't think she would have hurt me. Like, I think she was just trying to be loud. She slammed a. Oh gosh, I say I'm not going to go into details. Well, that was the harmless one. That was like she did break a glass, but like, it was whatever. I cleaned it up. We had cats. Like, I made sure we like, extra careful to get all the pieces and everything. And plus, I did that for a living. Like, I cleaned and renovated the apartments that we lived in. So it was like I was already used to like broken shot glasses and the disposals and stuff like that. So. Anyways, and that wasn't even the big one. The big one I meant was like, I actually got hit a few times. It was like, dang. So that's real. And if anything will force compassion or understanding or relatable understanding, it's something like that. It's like, oh, bam, it just got real. So, anyways, and it happens, and that's something to consider. And actually, here in Fort Collins, as far as family court and law, definitely not saying my current co-parent. Sorry, there is no abuse between the mother of my children and me. So let's just get that clear right away. Like, I'm not that way and she's not that way. Anyway, sorry. I got to worry about those things because I don't know how public these videos are going to get. And I don't want anything like any blowback or, because I wouldn't put it past things. So, anyways. Um, but no. And that can be debilitating in itself. Like, yes, anger classes and stuff, that's a good start. But then, like, we should focus on more the rehab instead of the jail. Like, there's always jail time in Colorado if a domestic violence is called. So someone goes to jail. And, like, even if it's just raising your voice in an argument, I think, like, I want to say you still go to jail. So, actually, no, I know for a fact hmm, that was a while ago, though. So, I do know that there's still a chance. Like I've heard that the law was at some point someone goes to jail, but I can't remember if that was evidence of physical violence or if it was also just yelling and breaking things too. Because like I said, like even the beautiful, and she was a very liberal freedom fighter that was fighting for the child soldiers of Darfur, like, and brilliant woman, all that, very highly achieved, still smashed a glass. Like, so let's not kid ourselves. We're all capable of doing that. And that's the one, like, I still hold her in very high regard. And, and I definitely, that's a kettle calling the, actually, I don't know if I ever, maybe I have thrown tantrums. I want to say no, but not with women. But like, roommates, yes. Oh my gosh. It is so hard living with other people, like other guys. Like, I almost think I would have been. Well, okay, that's a whole nother rabbit hole that I don't even know if I want to go down. But no, it's just I had some of my best friends. I met some of my favorite people in the world at random college roommate assignments, and I've also met some of the worst people in the world for random roommate assignment. Actually, no, the non-random roommate assignment ended up being the worst in the world. And the random ones were the best. So there's a little bit of karma and eventually I'll feel comfortable speaking about something like that because there are a few, it's going to stay a checkered past for a reason. And that's fine. Because I mean, it is my decision at the end of the day. And I can take these videos down. I can delete things and maybe I might have to too. Like I said, like if anybody does get offended so. Or yeah, let's talk about temporary experiencing homelessness. I temporarily was experiencing homelessness when I got evicted from an apartment way back in the day. For through no fault of my own, my roommate had thrown parties while I was away and got us in trouble. And so, yeah. And then there was like one thing that I did, but we'll talk about that later. But anyways, so the point of that is, and I had actually made an eviction decision on someone that was for personal reasons. So, and it was justified. It was just, I had run all out of patience and I said, okay, my vote is no. And I let them get evicted as well because they wronged me. And it was a petty thing, but at the same time, they were already in clear violation of the contract. So we were justified. And that's why I admit that is because even in a position of power, there are times where you might want to do things for your own personal gain, but there could be both. It could be what you have to do and what you want to do. Now, you got to be careful of that is you need to protect yourself and say, okay, well, if this came out in like a court or something, is it so no. Like, and it was at the end, it was a vote thing. It was a democratic process for an eviction based on several infractions. I think it was late payments and noise violations, and they were very strict about that, and they had it in the contract. You signed the lease that, and of course, it was a monetary fine at first, which it should be. Well, actually, wait, no, it should be warning at first, monetary fine if they can afford it, because that's the other thing is like they're already making these huge rent payments, and mind you, it was about $500 or $600 back in the day, and that was for like 2 to 3 people, and I mean you got a bedroom, and like, but if it was just you and one roommate, like $1,000 rent for a pretty nice apartment with like fireplace and all this, like right in the middle of like Campus West and all that. So, and now it's like 1,500 to 2,000 if you're lucky. I mean, I've heard even yeah. So for much farther away. Anyways, just talking about like problem solving in the college atmosphere. Because it's important. And I heard some pretty funny horror stories, some pretty, well, not some funny horror stories, but funny stories, scary stories. Because I still kept in touch with a lot of the apartment type people, and I was friends with, a couple of different college apartment management styles, and through some funny ways too. Like one time I got in trouble at another place, but paid up right away, apologized. It was a drunken decision, and then like. Okay, so I broke something, basically. I broke something when I was drunk. I apologized, and I was sincerely ashamed because I didn't know what I was doing. Drinking alcohol is that dangerous, and so it's like I don't know. And I think if more kids knew that instead of, because DARE was great, it told us like, oh, weed, marijuana, grass, cannabis, and pot are all different drugs. Okay, noted. And then like it said, and then they started talking about. See, I don't remember. The biggest thing I remember was like seeing pictures of meth heads and their faces running off. Like that's what stuck in my mind. I was like, all right. So also noted, never do meth, never do heroin. Now everything else was kind of like a gray area because it was just like, well, yeah, but like it's coming out that like even presidents are doing it, like George Bush with coke and stuff, and then like and then Bill Clinton smoking weed. And once that happened, then it's just like, oh, well, I don't care if you didn't inhale. You're just admitting to committing a crime on national television while still advocating for keeping it to be illegal. So that's why it was so controversial, because it's like we didn't care that he smoked pot. It's we cared that he smoked pot and became president. And that's a testament too. Like, and let's talk about that for a second. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in Olympic history, is a pothead. So there you go. You're labeling, you're pigeonholing, and you're using generalizations of a predetermined nature and bias to judge someone, even if they are the best in what they do ever in all of history. So that's what I'm saying is like, and at one point, I hope that I see the Pope smoke some dope. Like, that would be so hilarious. In fact, that should be a short. I want to see the Pope hang out with Snoop Dogg and smoke some bud. Like, uh, that would be the most 90s thing ever, though, honestly. Like, and actually, isn't the current one like, no, there was Benedict, and then, I don't know. I feel bad. I should pay attention to that. Like, I did that citizenship video for trying to become a U.S. citizen, which I found out is not adequate enough 2 times. One time I actually talked to someone who advocates for it, goes to D.C., and actually like does effort on behalf of potential citizens. But I did that video like a good year or two ago, or yeah, it was about a year and a half, almost 2 years. Anyways, doesn't matter. I did a video taking the citizenship test, and I saw the fee. And even then, if you watch the video, you can see like, oh, I just learned like just now. I was watching the intro when I was waiting for my video, and it's like, oh, the fee was $750 or 800 and something. And last I heard, it was up to $1,170. Oh. Sorry, my throat just gets so dry. Anyways, another reason half-hour segments are a lot better, and I've been able to do more. But I think I still have an overall limit as well. Mm. But wait, what was I even talking about? Um, well, I'm gonna have to go back and check the tape. But basically, oh yeah, well, I mean, ideally, we're talking about the legalization of cannabis nationwide, or at least the decriminalization, because we've already wasted so many resources and dragged so many names through the mud, basically on a harmless plant that has zero recorded deaths from overdose, but yet has, and all this crime too. Like the other guys, that's like the start of the movie, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's like they're chasing down these weed dealers, and they just had like a pound of marijuana, which was like a misdemeanor in New York because you're only supposed to carry an ounce. Same in Fort Collins. You can carry an ounce of marijuana on you. You can't have it open. You have to have it in a sealed container. And yeah, but if you get pulled over with an ounce of marijuana, even if it's not within reach, you're good to go. Like that's the thing. It's like you got to give cops the benefit of the doubt. Like if they do pull you over or something, like okay, well, are you smoking and driving? Because then that's a whole nother matter. Like because if you're smoking and driving, then that's potential DUI or driving while intoxicated. And you need to acknowledge that if you make the decision or the choice to drive while smoking, you could get in trouble. Now, again, that does relate directly to, well, how is your driving? Are you driving sloppily? Like, how much did you smoke? Because there's still a definite range and a limit. They haven't really determined it yet. I mean, I think they have, but like, I, I don't even want to guess what it is because drinking is very strict, especially here in Fort Collins. It's like I want to say 2 beers is the max, and then you can have like 1 beer an hour, but it takes an hour for you to sober up, and it is actually like clockwork like that. I mean, because anybody who's been on probation or had to do like drinking things or stuff, like, they'll know exactly how long until they're good to go do a breathalyzer. So, anyways, and that's a side of college, not everyone's college experience. And honestly, when I went back to college and I started like being serious and not partying and all that, like I didn't see nearly as much. But that is sad because it's like that's two different universes, even on the same campus. Of like, okay, well, if you get caught up in the party scene and you want to just be like live free, or you've been so oppressed and like, or you've lived in such a strict household, like, oh, okay, so that's the other thing. And um, I was watching. Gosh, now how do I put this? So I want to say South Park yet again. The pray the gay away camps, because that is important, and this is an important aspect to cybersecurity and the behavioral aspect because it's a danger. It's a potential danger for depression, LGBTQ. Okay, so a hot topic already for a lot of people. Um, oh, look at that. Sorry, did Mojang do that? It's not attached to anything. It's like someone just placed a pumpkin there, and it could have even just appeared. But anyways, let's talk about that. So the depression could potentially be life-threatening to someone who is LGBTQ, formerly oppressed in a lot of places. But again, just like where we've got legal marijuana, where we've got legal homosexuality is depends. Like there's even some states where like homosexual sex is illegal. Like I almost want to say like Mississippi today or Arkansas or one of those. And see, and that's the other thing. I make these broad generalizations based on what I've heard and what I've read, but not currently on that subject. So that's why I'm hesitant to say it. Um, but at least I acknowledge that. Like, I mean, I think defamation suits are more geared towards like the one that might be going on again because of a CNN thing. Like, dummy, shouldn't have kept talking. But anyways, sorry. And just like I need to watch what I say because I could get hit with defamation or something, and I don't want any of that. And that's not my point. Like, and I'm not trying to rip anyone off. Like, that's why I was all excited to try to read Dr. Seuss and do like a kids channel and stuff, but I decided against it because there's already a ton of people reading books as it is. I thought there was a need, and I might still like just to show off like, my reading skills, but and everybody should try like, because remind you, even in elementary school, I was reading off the cafeteria, the lunch menu in the mornings, so I got to see what it was like and got the excitement of it. But then I got the harsh reality of like, oh man, that got cheesy. Yeah, that was. We didn't say cringe back then, but we said cheesy, or that was like, well, that wasn't funny, or that wasn't as good. So, and people are brutally honest. Like kids say the darndest things, we figured it out. So, anyways, but then it also made class a lot easier, specifically in science classes, because I would just read, I would volunteer to read, but I'd also try to, I learned quickly that you can't volunteer all the time because then you're that, like brown noser, like, I'll do it and get the recognition, but it is just more of a like a unity thing because you're and a leadership thing for the class because you're helping the people that don't feel as comfortable reading, and that's fine because the sad reality of it is their parents might not read to them that much, and I read to my kids every single night that I have them. Let's just put that out there right now. I think we've shortened the stories, but I know at least the last couple years, every night that I've had them, I've read to them. And even when they were growing up, I would read a story to them, but it was mostly me reading at them for the first like when they're babies, they're like you're not. Although let's be real, I feel like we were even reading stories to them when they're in like in mom's tummy. So, anyways, but some kids don't have that. Their parents could die. Their parents could be in prison. Like their parents could have left. Like those three main reasons. But regardless, parental figures could be gone. You could be raised by your grandparents. You could be raised by an aunt or an uncle. Like, and we have to scale our problem solving to fit and accommodate all of these potential problems. So, and that's why like computer science is so important. That's why I'm so passionate about it because it's like once you learn how to do scalable problem solving, everything else in life becomes easier because then you're like, I mean, it's still hard, it's still work, you still got to put in effort, but it's a lot less effort, and that's what's exciting. Is because especially and that's why I put my work history, and I noted notable facts like with Subway, I was trusted with the cash drops. I took the entire store's money, and I had keys to three stores, and I would go do the cash deposits, not at the same time. Like I didn't have like three. Oh, look, there's another one. It's like we like what you're saying. Keep it up. I hope, or it's not like, hey, stop talking about that. But no, it is important, especially if you're going to study cybersecurity, because once you get into that realm, oh wait, let's do bada bing. It's important to know what to protect against, what to defend. Like, if someone's going to steal, okay, they got to try to attack me while I'm driving with the money. I'm a rather large guy who used to carry guns and knives in his car, so I'm a pretty safe gent. And it's like, and I don't have guns now, mind you, and that was a long time ago, and I didn't ever do anything with any said guns or knives. They always stayed away, stowed. They are not tools and they're not toys, mind you, and they're not puppets or tools for, sorry, toys in that sense. So where you'd imagine like a puppet or like a toy. I don't know, because I also take offense to like when people call longboards toys, because that is a mode of transportation, and just like a baseball bat could be a toy, but also a mode of violence. Like, anyways, I digress. But you carry a baseball bat and a baseball glove and say that you play baseball in your trunk for a reason. Like, because you might get attacked. You never know. Especially if people figured out that I had the cash drops for an entire store. That's a great target. However, I'm also friendly because of the social programs and everything. I probably know, like, well, I don't want to say like I know every criminal in Fort Collins or anybody that's going to do such a thing in Fort Collins, but I'm just like I'm only 3 degrees separated from like everybody through LinkedIn. I'm also like 3 degrees separated from anybody that would do that. So right there, like my car is recognizable, my face is recognizable, and even if people don't know me, they might have heard of me or like been to a store I've worked in or seen me around town. So like, well, obviously they know I work at Subway if they're trying to rob Subway, but like, and so it's that accountability of a smaller community and a communal mindset to where it's a deterrent. Just like I said in another video, law enforcement, it's not just their job to pull people over and arrest them. Yeah, that's definitely a part of it, but they hold up an appearance, and just that appearance is a crime deterrent. It's just like in that Batman movie where like the guy's like, "Oh, nah, man, not tonight," and he's like trying to buy some drugs or something. I think it's drugs. I don't think they actually say, but it looks like a drug deal, and it's like, oh, they see the Batman symbol, and it's like, oh, not tonight, man. Like, I'm not gonna sell you illicit substances. Like, and the harsh reality is that can land you in prison for many years. So that's why we need common sense drug law reform, because depending on the substance and the situation, it's also the amount of the substance. Um, like, yeah, it's just there's all this stuff, and it's just very crooked and one-sided, and like It's like entrapment. I don't know. It's like a game. Anyways, and a quota. But I get it for the protection angle. I don't know. Sorry, that's just my pedestal for that because even Colorado in recent years with weed and mushrooms being legalized, that's a huge percentage of people that anyways. But back to the educational piece and leadership skills. So this all ties into it. So the better you're able to lead, the better everything is going to go for your job. If you read to lead, so you can make a little cheesy thing there or cringe, whatever. But if you lead through reading, or if you're leading through reading, then you're encouraging and empowering others to read themselves. Because that's what it was. It's like I read, but I didn't make it like a circus act. I didn't make it a spectacle. I read properly and like I tried to make sure that the speed of my reading was accurate and it felt comfortable. So and I did that, and the more I did that, the more and I want to say I even told people like, hey, you should. But I did it by looking at them. So I would almost pick the next reader by looking and kind of doing like a head nod, and then they would read, and then they would get all excited. They would be like, oh, like now we're doing this, and not because of A-Rye said it. And this was yeah, this was still before that nickname, but it was because someone gave them a head nod, and then other people did it. Like, and that was the important part is nobody gave a crud or gave a crap about me doing it. They were doing it themselves, and that was the cool thing. So, anyways, if you're gonna help people, really help them. Don't try to ask for anything in return. Never expect a reward, basically. And if they want to, cool. But like if you're gonna help somebody, do it. The helping is the reward. Like that's the thing, and it is like, and that's why people need to understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you get your basic needs met, and then you help others, or the oxygen mask in the airplane thing. You help yourself before you even help your children, because even though yes, you're gonna help your children, because they probably can't even reach it if they're a certain age or certain size. But also, like, you're supposed to be the adult. You're supposed to be extra vigilant, extra aware of things, like extra protective. So, you know. Anyways, different universes and different perspectives that you might, or hindsight bias and all that, like blind spots and corner cases. So, anyways, wait, where are we at for? Whoops. I forgot to set an alarm. So see, even I can, be late. Like if meetings were stacked back to back, you could be running late like 7 minutes, like this video. So, anyways, while we're at that, let's just go over. Well, no, because we're already 7 minutes late. Yeah, shoot. Now it's gonna have to be like a whole nother. I wanted to talk about Python programming, so maybe I'll just do it. Just do the video, upload the video. All right, yeah, look at them. They're all saying like, yeah, I think so. And even this picture I have of this random person in my living room just staring at me, judging me like, So, anyways, that's fun. And they're all green-eyed too, because it's like the texture pack. And then they lose interest, they go off, but then they look at you. All right. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. I will talk to you later, and maybe I'll even edit out the last 7 minutes of this rant. But it is important for cybersecurity. That's what I do want to mention is like, because you need to know your enemy, know the person that's going to be committing these crimes, and how to stop them. How to bust them, how to catch them, but then also how to stop them from happening ahead of time. So, and that's my passion. Like, I don't really want to bust people. I can't. I mean, I'm not going to be a cop, but like. I could work for the NSA or the CIA, the alphabet agencies, but like, that's funny to me. Like, you could still end up doing those things. I digress. The sky's the limit. If you work hard enough, anyone can do anything, but I'd rather focus my efforts on behavioral and psychological, rehabilitational efforts. Oh, and now everybody's done. All right. I guess I'll end on that. But preventative blue teaming. Be about it and learn about it. All right. I'll see. Oh, no, they went to get to work. All right. I'm going to go get to work. I'm going to go do a Python thing. Let's go see about the setup. All right. See you later.